telecommunication and information and communication companies test for local banks to grow as loan stops 200%. Federal government partners international bodies for capital inflow. Plus, oil prices fall on fear of high U.S. interest rates depressing demand. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Neka Oko, your guide. Buoyed by investors' sustained appetite, the Debt Management Office has again sought the support of primary dealer market makers to raise more financing for Nigeria's domestic debt plan. The DMO has an outstanding 1.5 trillion naira to raise from the federal government's proposed 6 trillion naira bond, having already raked in 4.5 trillion naira from the previous issuances. Patience Oniha, the Director General of the Debt Management Office, DMO, noted that the DMO has raised part of the finance for both the domestic debt and ways and means borrowing, which they intended to complete. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Anita, says in fulfillment of the present administration's renewed hope agenda, the ministry and its agencies are strengthening partnerships with the outside world for better capital inflows.
And henceforth, instead of local or global, market or state, federal or state, public or private, we should explore local and global, market and state, federal and state, public and private partnerships
that support our efforts in de-risking investments, in providing lines of credit, in establishing credit insurance agencies, and engaging in capacity building and knowledge exchange programs.
Telecommunication and other information and communication companies significantly increased their borrowing from local banks in 2023, driven by a challenging economic climate and a devalued naira that made foreign loans expensive. According to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria's Deposit Money Bank's sectorial distribution of credit, these companies increased their loans by 207.12% to 768.54 billion naira, as against the 250.24 billion naira they did in 2022, increasing their overall credit to banks by 63.56% to 1.98 trillion naira by the end of 2023. Overall, private sector credit surged from 15.09 trillion naira in 2023 to 44.54 trillion naira. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the information and communications sector comprises the activities of telecommunications and information services, publishing, motion pictures, sound recording, and music production, as well as broadcasting. Of all the four subsectors, the telecom sector was responsible for 84.68% of the sector's GDP contributions, underscoring its significant share. Moving on, oil prices fell in early Asian trade on Tuesday, with investors anticipating lingering U.S. inflation and higher interest rates to depress consumer and industrial demand. Brent crude futures declined 12 cents to $83.34 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude eased 8 cents to $79.72 a barrel. Both benchmarks fell less than 1% on Monday, as U.S. Federal Reserve officials said they were awaiting more signs of slowing inflation before considering interest rate cuts. Perfect storm steers gold to another record high as silver jumps. Let's see how other commodities. And now to the capital market. The NG's equities market began the first weekday of trade positive as investors gained 28.6 billion naira. The all-share index advanced by 0.05% to close at 98.176.58 points. A total of 405.6 million shares in 8,439 deals, corresponding to a market value of 6.6 billion naira were traded. Monday's data showed 188% improvement in volume, 29% decline in turnover, but 22% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 55.5 trillion naira. The session ended with 13 gainers and 29 losers. European markets opened lower as positive momentum fades. Let's join Moplang Dakok for an update this morning. Mopi, how is the market this morning?
Thank you, Neka. Well, it will seem like it's a freezing cold Tuesday morning for the markets. European markets opened lower, reversing more positive sentiment seen at the start of the weeks. Germany's DAX dropped by 0.11% to 18,748.80%. FTSE of Britain advanced 0.01% at 8,424.20, while in France, the CAC dropped 0.54%. In Asia, shares were in the red this Tuesday, led by Hong Kong shares, which lost as much as 2.30% to close at 19,185.88 basis points. In China, the Shanghai Composite also dropped 0.55%, while in Japan, the Nikkei dropped 0.31% at 38,946.93 basis points. U.S. stock futures are a little change in early trade this Tuesday after the Nasdaq Composite hit an all-time high. The S&P 500 inched up to 0.04%. The Dow Jones remained unchanged at 0.03%, while the Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.07% across 18,750.00%. Markets in Africa joined the lukewarm performance. We see South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 dropping by 0.74%, while Namibia's overall index inched up 0.11% at 1,767.70%, while other markets on the continent have not posted any figures yet. That's it on the global scene. It's back to you, Neka.
Thank you, Moplang. The Senate has engaged stakeholders on a bill that calls for 300% salary increase for judicial officers at the federal and state levels. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The salary increments coming through an executive bill from the presidency seeks to address the 17 years of stagnation of salaries and emoluments of judicial officers in Nigeria. Minister of Justice and his counterpart from the Finance Ministry said the decision of government to approve the 300% salary increase is to truly make the judiciary independent.
An attempt and an initiative to improve the lot of the judiciary to the benefit of the judiciary in particular and Nigerians in general.
A focus on judicial reform is not only about judicial remuneration. In consultation with the judiciary and other key stakeholders, we are also interested in ensuring a holistic review of our judicial system to respond to the justice needs of Nigeria.
The National Assembly wants the federal government to go a step further by improving disengagement benefits for those who served in the temple of justice.
Forge a salary and benefit structure that not only meets the basic needs of our judicial officers, but also provides the incentives and support necessary for the maintenance of a robust and independent judiciary.
Other stakeholders made suggestions on effective implementation for efficiency.
Provisions of the bill, which simply put does not recognize seniority on the bench. For example, a High Court judge appointed in 2024 by the provisions of the proposed bill will earn the same basic salary as his brother judge appointed a decade before him. It may be necessary to review the provision of the long service allowance to cure this anomaly.
Not only the judicial officers, and it's not only salary that concerns us, though it is very important.
The salary increase for judicial officers is already captured in the 2024 appropriation bill signed into law by President Bola Tinubu. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali.
Well, this is where we end today's edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Wednesday at 3 p.m. I am Neka Oku. Enjoy the rest of your day.